Works Morning Show. I'm Melissa.
And I'm Kevin.
And today we are here for the second episode from the new studio.
Yeah.
And a little bit different arrangement than we were last week. We're still moving in though, as you can see behind us with the box. It's been quite the challenge. Got to see all kinds of fun stuff on the freeway this morning. It's great to have a front row seat to 522. Random people stopped in the middle of the freeway for no apparent reason. It's pretty interesting. Sometimes though it's geese walking across. Have you ever seen that? Oh.
Surprisingly, no.
Yeah, two geese and their little babies. I've seen them walking across 522.
Seems more dangerous than
yeah.
helpful.
So that was interesting. But this morning, I thought we'd switch it up. Instead of starting with news, we'll end with news. And today, I would like your help educating people about the science of glass fusing.
Ooh,
Because there's a couple of things. We get asked, well, two questions come up quite a bit. Why is there no pink? And the other question is, can you melt this wine bottle? Can I use this? Can I incorporate some glass that I found on the beach? So let's start with that question. We'll address the pink question separate. So tell us why we can't just use random pieces of glass in our projects.
Well, first off, it would be amazing. I would love to just find all the, you can go to the dollar store and get glass.
Right.
However, with how they formulate the glass, fusing is very specific. So not even stained glass will work in fusing. I get that question a lot. It's not that it will break, but glass, when it's heated, expands and contracts at different rates. Speaker's still on. So it expands and contracts at different rates. It's the coefficient of glass. So how quickly it grows and then shrinks back down as it's cooling. So there's two main companies. There are more. So the two main companies are Bullseye and now Oceanside. For those that never saw it, Spectrum Glass used to make all of the glass in pretty much the Northwest and around the area for the glass we use. And they were actually located just over next to Costco.
That's pretty incredible that we're surrounded by all of this glass.
Yeah. The Pacific Northwest is definitely a center for it all. Now, 3-4 years ago, glass changed. At Spectrum's height, they were producing 1 million square feet a month in glass.
So much square feet.
Yeah.
This studio is 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And they were producing 1 million square feet.
Yeah,
That's
nuts.
amazing.
It's nuts. So I actually, side note, applied for a job there.
Really?
Got hired. And then as they were kind of touring me around, or like pre-hire, I didn't want to do blue collar work. It was 410s, and even though there was free glass to allure me in, wasn't worth my sanity. So didn't do it, but got to see the cool behind the scenes. So anyway, with coefficient, Spectrum that we use, or Oceanside, they call it System 96. And 96 is the number at which it expands and contracts. The other company is Bullseye Glass. They're in Portland, and they are another main player in the industry, and they are System 90. So the two of those companies don't mix. Now, you may ask, well, why did you then choose Spectrum? And that's simply because in high school, that's what the school used. And you kind of pick. And so early on, it was like, all right, let's do it. It's also a little bit cheaper. Because Spectrum has a machine that it comes out and it's machine rolled, versus Bullseye is all hand rolled, minus one of their clears. And that means that they scoop a big thing of glass, throw it on a table, and usually they roll it through a metal roller and it flattens it out. So you get wavy edges. You end up losing some of the glass if you're trying to cut really square things.
For our members, some of your glass has been hand rolled. If you've used the opaque green, some of the opaque red, you find that it's wrinkly and crinkly on the edge and not smooth, then that's an example of a hand-rolled glass.
Yeah, so I have used a little bit of both, mostly obviously Spectrum, but again, we can't mix, because then in the kiln, as they expand and contract differently, they'll crack. So no matter what you do, With that being said, can you melt wine bottles? Yes, you can melt any kind of glass. It's just when it comes to putting them together, they don't always work. Now, I did know an artist that would crush up wine bottles and make bathroom tiles out of them, which again, she was using all like bottles, and bottles are generally produced the same, but beyond the 90 and 96, there is also 104, and then I believe it's like Boro 80 or 86 or something like that. So there's a few other small brands, but when it comes to it, Bullseye has the biggest color palette, the most colors, and a lot of fusers use it, especially in the UK. It's like pretty much exclusively 90 or Bullseye glass. So again, early on, we just decided to go with that. Now, will we use Bullseye at some point? Yes. In a few of my projects, I've used it instead of the other, but yeah, ultimately, can't use any glass.
Yep.
It's a bummer.
You have to choose it.
Yeah.
Really quick before we move on, quick shout out to all of our fans who've been saying good morning. Good morning,
Yes.
Jan and Kaylee and Monique. And I saw Jamma on there. Good morning, Jamma. I can't wait to see you. And Cynthia as well. Good morning. And related to the question about mixing and using glass, a lot of it has to do with who's controlling the kiln, right?
What do you mean?
As far as what you
glass
can
is
do and
used.
what glass is used, right?
Sure.
Like we could, if it was part of what we do here at Molten Works, we could reprogram kilns and do all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
But that requires a lot of babysitting. The kiln, right?
And it's more subtle. Like Bullseye does fire differently. I find it needs a little bit more heat. Or programs they recommend are a little bit different. It's all generally the same, but yeah, it's a matter of then you go through and figuring out where's tack fuse, where's full fuse, where does it shape, where what's the difference in that moldability and spectrum is something that, I mean, doing it for 10 years, like I know how it's going to react. So it's a little easier to then make new things. And
so when in class, when everybody comes in and they ask us about what, how's this going to turn out? A lot of what we do is translate, right?
Yeah.
So that means Kevin's the expert. He really knows how the glass is going to work and what the interactions are going to do depending on, how we're fusing it. And so when I've been doing fusing experiments, making beads with different sizes, fusing at bead temperature, but also the experiments of full fuse, tack fuse, and contour fuse. And those are the 4 temperatures that we use. That is something that Kevin really knows about. And
well, it's just what she's doing now, which is my mentor Randall, whose garage I worked out of for 2 years. That's like all he would do is experiment. Like never would really finish a project. Love you, Randall. But he just, but his creative spark to try new things. I mean, we worked with China paint where we're using a sponge to dab it on and give it like a rock effect. Like we did, you name it, we did it in fusing. And so it was really cool to then, all that knowledge I stored and was like, okay, well now when I go to make something, I can just make it. I don't have to play around with like, well, if I use this color, if I use this glass, like, is it gonna show up enough? Is it gonna be too light? Because that's another thing is glass, you work with sky blue frit and it's barely gonna show up.
Right.
So,
that's another big difference. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Jenna.
Yeah, Jenna.
Great to see you. That's another big difference is opaque versus transparent. That's where we do a lot of translating in class too, is making sure that you're using an opaque glass or a transparent glass, depending on what you want. And
frit looks solid before because it's been crushed.
Yeah, it looks like a color, but it's going to show up as transparent. So we sometimes it seems like we're looking over your shoulders a lot, but it's really we want you to end up with a successful project. So no transparent sky blue on top of your black base piece or your dark blue, because you're not going to get that color. And so that's a big part of what we're doing too, is providing that translation. Good morning, Amelia, and happy birthday.
Oh wow, happy
She
birthday.
turned 2.
Woo!
Yes.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yes.
Twos.
So terrible twos, Jenna. Good thing you have a big backyard.
That's right.
So the next question is, where's the pink?
The pink. Believe me, I wish there was more. Well, currently pink uses, each glass that is made, no matter what color, will have an element to it. You know, like blue, usually like cobalt. And they mix that in, they formulate it. Now Spectrum spent 20 years, 30 years formulating these colors so they would be, perfect and come out smooth, no streaks, really did a good job. And the new company doing a great job too. But pink is made with gold. And gold, obviously, as you all know, is very expensive. And so it's not made very widely. Now, before they did have a few different kinds of pinks. They did produce them, but a sheet of pink that is about 2 feet by 3 feet, I want to say, is about $200. And to compare that to something is a full sheet, a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet of, let's say, red is still only going to be like $100, and red's another expensive color. So, and then the blues and the greens are, $80 bucks, $60 to $80 for a sheet like that. So the pink is very expensive. So therefore, since artists don't necessarily have a lot of money, they're not buying it as much. The new company has not put a pink out there yet. It's not that they won't. It's that it's kind of unsure right now. So as of the moment, there is no pink at the glass place. And we pick up in Redmond. It's Northwest Art Glass. They're a supplier, and they are very slim. There's one other company that we do get pink sometimes. It's called, the company's Yakagani. Again, they're another mostly stained glass producer, but they do produce some fusing. And we've gotten their pink in before. It's more of a cotton candy pink than kind of a deeper fuchsia or magenta. So we're hopeful that something will come about, especially as we grow bigger. We can develop a stronger relationship with Oceanside, and they do custom orders. So potentially they would be willing to do a custom, pink batch for us. Now, obviously, that would cost us probably about $50,000. So.
We're not there yet.
We're not there quite yet, but just know that as it comes in and available, we totally will do that.
Jamma asked, good morning, Amy. Jamma asked, is red also made with gold?
No, red is cadmium.
Which is also another rare mineral, which is another reason why it's
so red. They call it
expensive.
the celestial colors. The the orange, the red, the yellow. Those colors all are way more expensive, and they're more, not dangerous, but you need the proper equipment to do them, because there's also a glass with arsenic in it. Now, granted, know that it is 100% safe when we're fusing it and when we're working with it. All of the elements are bound together in a new form, so it's not toxic. It's not, again, there are food safe. This is just the back end process of it. Now, there was a red in 2005 at Spectrum Glass over here that took the paint off of cars outside the warehouse because
they were making it.
When they were making it, because they did not have, and I actually had a piece of it, random, a little square. But again, and then, so when the factories closed, it was a lot of that regulation. There wasn't a lot, and so they weren't having to be as clean. So in Portland is where it started. They found stuff in the moss that was some chemicals that were produced from the factory. Now Spectrum, or Bullseye used to be in more an industrial area. However, housing is built all around them. So they got to be much more cautious about that.
Sort of like in North Everett, there was the aluminum smelter plant. Now there's houses there, so there was lots of cleanup. So Jenna, like Kevin said, the spectral colors? Celestial colors. So those bright oranges, yellows, reds, those are the ones that are a little more expensive. Now, as some of you ask me these questions, instead of always bugging you, I tried to Google a little bit. It's not easy. The recipes for making glass are a secret, like top secret, because they don't exist. I found a few articles that had a little chart that said what colors or what
in
elements
general, right?
make colors, right?
It's much like the fusing secrets is, you know, you look at how to pull spiraled cane, you look at how to do these things, and people will show you them doing it.
Right.
But they're not showing you, okay, here's a pot, here's how we load it, here's how we get the right mix, the colors, like, there's so much learning behind it. And so same with Spectrum, like, they took years to get their formulas perfect. And now it's perfect. And we saw that actually with a lot of Oceanside's first stuff. If you remember, like, their red was a little more brown red. I know some of you members out there remember that. It wasn't, it was the dark red we had out, but it was a little more brown. It didn't look as vibrant.
It was more like a brick color.
Yeah, brick burgundy kind of appeal. So, you know, and then same with, I remember their first batch of dark blue had some streaks in it. So you could still see some darker patches, some lighter patches, and that's just, again, that's unevenness. It's how you load it in, it's how you make it. Oceanside has also said with some of their more volatile colors, green is another one, dark green is harder to make, just the dark green. And they actually said they weren't going to produce it anymore because it was so hard on their equipment. Now, when you make glass, you basically have a furnace, you load your glass in, and they actually cycle through a spectrum of colors. So they're not just making blue at once, they're not just making green. Is as they go, they say, okay, we'll start with blue, then we'll add this element, it'll start to turn it green, like, and they'll go through a cycle of different colors as they produce. Once it's done, they have to then rebuild the kiln. They have to pull it apart because all the glass in there, and then start.
Well, and all the colors, they probably have to clean out all of the elements.
Clean it out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a process for sure. And I'm just so thankful that somebody picked it up, you know, and they've been doing a fantastic job. It took almost 4 years to get all the colors back. The last color we got back was lemongrass, and that was gone the longest. And even still, that in frit isn't available yet. So while they're producing all this glass, sure, they have extra, but at that volume, they have to crush it down, you know, and sift it out, and then create frit to go out to everybody. So it's coming. Same stringer took a long time too. You know, it was looking pretty slim there. Now that's kind of full spectrum again.
You actually bring up a good point, is that we also get asked, well, I saved my scraps so you can make your frit. Or do you make the frit, right? Because it is just crushed glass, right? However, it goes through a crusher, like.
Yeah, the back end of that is.
It goes through Yeah,
and I got to tour a place that had one. So big old machine. You need it in a separate room because the glass dust will kill you. So you don't want to mix it.
So they're wearing a mask.
It was in an enclosed space. Now this was cool because it would crush the glass, and then it would actually automatically sift it into the different coarsenesses. But again, once you're done crushing, then you got to do a cycle of clear to get all that extra color out. Then you got to, you know, it's another very involved process. So while we try to make everything we can, stringer is another one of those. It's a coveted secret. They don't share. I look up anywhere, how do I make stringer? And all they tell me is the vitrograph, and I know for a fact that it's not how they make it because it's so straight and so perfect. And again, trade secret, right?
There's no way. We don't make the stringer either. You can get out on the scale that most people use straight pieces of glass. You can find most of those pieces in the bottom of the bins of curls because when it's not curly, it's straight for the most part. And in the heat of the kiln, it gets a little mushy anyways. So unless you really, really need a really crisp straight line, like if you're doing a border, I encourage a lot of people, if they want to finish off a square piece, use a border of stringer, and it looks really, really nice, really crisp. But unless you're using something that's a good 6-8 inches long, You can find straight pieces in the curls.
And then curls have, even thinner than stringer, a little thicker than stringer.
Yeah,
So you
that's where you find your variation as well. So that's pretty cool, yeah. So those are really our big question. Where's the pink? Why can't I, use this random glass that I found on the beach? Why, do you make the frit?
Yeah. Do you make, what materials do you make? Yeah. We make the beads, we make the spiraled cane.
We make the curls. And we do cut all the glass too. So the base piece, like Kevin was describing the size of the sheets of glass, that's how we buy it. It's kind of like a sheet of plywood. And then we cut it all out. We cut the circles, we cut the squares, all of the bases, get a little trip through the grinder so that the corners aren't super sharp. We cut all the pieces that we use of mosaic as well, so you have bite-sized pieces to work with. And so behind the scenes, and right now, considering it's just me and Kevin, that's all Kevin. And so
I can't feel my hands.
He can sometimes. But so that's part of what we do here at Molten Works, is we provide that experience for you, but we do a lot of the behind the scenes work and a lot of that production. So what you see in the studio, we've touched that glass already 2-3 times. To get it to you.
And some of the reasons behind materials like beads, again, you can buy, but it's expensive when you're going through volume. We produce them. We have a great crew of volunteers that helps us get them done. And then spiraled cane, when we first started providing it, like 5 years ago, it was $100 a pound for the scrap, which were no longer than 5 inches, 6 inches.
Yeah.
And it's a gal out in Snohomish, and so she briefly showed me what she did, but we ultimately make clay pots that are square so we can fill the colors in to make our spiraled cane. So we make our own pots to then, and I know she goes and buys them from the East Coast, but again, it's just another behind the scenes that...
When you used to do it out of the terracotta pots I make curls out of, and you cut all of the glass. I remember you cut the glass so it was just the right roundness or slope so that it fit in those pots.
And it takes about 30 minutes to an hour to get that whole pot filled right. And then it's also...
Because you don't want gaps.
Yeah. And then it's a large pot, and then you're sitting there for 2 hours, and so it made sense. And it was something that, like, in the grand scheme of things, not hard to do. I think I made 50 pots last time in a week, so I can make like 13 at a time. And in fact, in the next week or two, we'll be making more. So I will show you guys the process. You get to see how that works.
It's time to start producing some materials again. We got really caught up because we were really we had the time, we had the space.
Yeah, we pulled like 50 pots of spiraled cane.
We did a whole bunch of pulling curls and spiraled cane, and then the opportunity came to move. But what it means is that we don't have to set everything up right away. Yeah. Because we're prepared with all of these colors, and so we are stocked up with that, and so that's actually a pretty good transition to guess what we get to do next week. We get to be officially open to the public, so it is time for the news. So starting next Wednesday on the 17th, and good morning, Val. Oh, I forgot to turn the microphone on. Damn it.
No, it's on.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
somebody early on would have said something.
Sorry, I swore on TV.
Yeah, Amy.
So next Wednesday, we will officially be open. Now, what that means is 3 things. 1, curbside pickup will remain the same. If you need to pick up your project, that's still going to be curbside. Let us know when you were here, what your project looked like. Give us 24 hours. And then when you arrive at the studio, you give us a call, and we meet you at your vehicle. And that's one way that we're going to control how many people are here in the studio. Yeah. The other thing, you're going to see 2 things on the calendar. You're going to see open studios, and you're going to see small groups. And both of those are available in Studio 1 and Studio 2. And Studio 2 is so that we can have the kids. So if you want to play date, you and the kids and another parent or, guardian and the kids, come have your small group play date here at Molten Works. And small group is you and 4 to 5 of your friends. Because right now the restriction is groups of 5 outside your house. So we're going with that.
Yeah.
So that's a small group. And for the small groups, members can use their promo code, or if you have class tickets that you already bought, you can use those class tickets. And then for anybody that isn't a member or doesn't have a ticket, it's $45 when you check in.
Yeah, and $220 for a table.
Yep, it's $220 for the table.
So $220 gets you up to 6 people at a table.
Yep, and that's your project
yourself.
And your materials, and that's always included. When how much do the materials cost? That kind of comes up for people that are familiar with going into studios. We have included projects and we have included materials with that.
Yep.
And then the third thing that you see on the calendar is Open Studio. And Open Studio is for people that have already been here.
Yep.
When you sign up, and it's important that you sign up because we've got the schedule set out so that we are really controlling the number of people that are coming into the studio. And so Open Studio, when you sign up, there's no fee when you sign up, but members, you can use your included projects. You can use your Open Studio punch cards, or it's $35. That's one of the included and you get one of the included projects, and then the included materials that go with it. So those 3 things you're going to see on the calendar. And then if everything goes as planned, Sip and Fuse and our workshops will be introduced July 1st. And that is our Frit Portrait Workshop.
Yeah.
So that I reactivated that on the calendar. That's scheduled for 6 o'clock that Wednesday evening.
Yep.
And so that would be the first class that we're able to have here at the studio. So we're opening in phases with the phases. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, but just excited to get people back in the shop. I mean, a new space and just a new time. I know everybody's been itching for those that have done the kits and the other things.
The kits will still be going.
Yeah,
that's
so you can
always
still do
going to be
kits.
available. Yep. The kits are just now part of what we do here at Molten Works. So you can always do the create at home kits. It's a great option now for businesses that can't gather in large groups, right? And a lot of people's budgets got cut for that. So we do understand that. But now, you and your colleagues in the office, you each get a kit. You can do it at your desks or at a conference table, or maybe you have outdoor seating, or maybe do it on Zoom. And you can have your work groups together. So that's been an option, and I know that a few businesses have done that, and it's a great option. So so the kits are now part of what we do at Molten Works.
Yeah.
And so that's really exciting that we just get to continue that work. So we're excited to be open. Next Wednesday is the official day, and we can't wait to see everybody here in the studio.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
And hopefully I got one more big wall to build, 16-foot wall.
Yes, Kevin also knows how to do construction.
Wall behind us. Right there.
there's a white wall behind us right here, and Kevin built the wall. So in addition to knowing about the science of the glass,
it's all part of the gig.
Kevin,
it's got to be
got a jack of all trades,
lot of
right?
things. Yeah,
so
know a lot of things.
So that's part of what we're doing. But that's the news. Can't wait to see everybody again at the studio. It's been exciting to see your questions and comments. I can't wait to see you in the studio again, but thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on Wednesday for Melissa Makes. Kevin's doing his Kevin Creates tomorrow morning.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
To me too.
Yes. Yes, because he hasn't quite figured it out, but I know that he's got something creative in mind.
I got something in the works.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm going to keep working on my fish scene right now. My fish didn't quite turn out how I wanted. We'll see.
I know it looks kind of squished, but
they look kind of ugly. But anyway, I'm going to take a break from that, rethink it, come back with a new plan, make some new stuff.
Right. Maybe we need to challenge Kevin the way you guys challenged me, and I ask you for what you think I could do or should do. So maybe we throw some ideas at Kevin. Maybe he needs to do a race car.
No. No.
Okay, so no race cars for Kevin, but throw out some ideas and see what you want him to explain. Maybe he can incorporate some of the science into his Kevin Creates. So we will see you for the lives, and next week again we'll have another morning show for you. We'll see you then.
And we'll be open. Well, 2 days later.
Right. This is the last Monday of the morning show during shutdown.
That's right.
Next Monday, the morning show is just the Molten Works morning show, and we will be open for business.
That's right.
Which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, and we will see everybody
until next time. Stay safe.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Stay safe and stay healthy.